Good morning, everybody. I hope everybody's doing good today and that you are doing well yourself. Today, I want to talk to you, give you a rapture update, and let you know how close this could be. This could be the day World War III starts, according to Philip Barnett. And why am I excited about that? Only if you are watching for the rapture and will you be excited that World War III might start. So Philip Barnett himself thinks it's going to be next year. So I'm kind of afraid it will happen. And I'm also afraid it won't happen. You know, it's a strange place to be. But we did just send bombers to Eastern Europe, to the Baltics. And he said it was U.S. originating missiles that delivered the 8 nukes to eastern Ukraine. So it actually could happen. We probably would wait for night to do that over there when it's dark over there. So anyways, we're waiting to see if we have the right year. We don't know if we have the right year because think about it. If the 7th month and the first day on the Enoch calendar is the first day of a new year, that would mean that God, I think that, in my thinking, I think that means that God probably, when he created the world, that was the start date. Through a cycle, like through a year cycle, it would be like the world being created in July or June or something. So it'd be like me telling you, well, there's a true stretch of the imagination to say if I was God, but like if I had created it and I would be telling people, on the first day of June, I want you to celebrate that as blow the trumpets because, you know, that is the first day of the year. That would be day 1 of my creation. And so that's when I want you to blow the trumpet. If for God to say the 7th month and the first day will be a holy convocation, right? Blowing of trumpets. On the Enoch calendar, it'd be the 7th month and the first day is when he would consider the very first day of that the world was created then. That's how I'm taking it to mean. So if that's the beginning of a year, then if 2025, if that was 2024 and not 2025, then if we're actually on his calendar 2024, which of course on him would be, in his way of thinking, is year 5008 or 900 and such, right? So, because he didn't stop and restart calendars like we did. So, what I'm thinking is, I just try to follow my line of thinking here. I know it's difficult, but what I'm thinking is, if it doesn't happen, that probably means the year 2024 actually. We're in the year 2024. So when you come back around to the 7th month again, we would start the year 2025, the actual year 2025, which could be why, and the rapture would be that November, could be why Joshua was told that the World Cup wouldn't happen. Because just like 3 weeks prior to that, nukes were going to fall. So it would not be business as usual. So we'll see. That's one of the things I was thinking about. Now, the other thing I want to talk to you about today was God gave me more clarity on my dream. And I know a lot of you here are new and you don't know this. So I was just going to kind of explain it. And the reason why now I know it was a prophetic dream. Now, if you've watched any of my other videos, you know I don't put a lot of stock in dreams themselves. Dreams are generally, I've experienced like 90% of my dreams or just my own thought stuff, my own emotions. It's kind of like a mirror. It's a reflection of your emotions, your if you have fear, your emotional state and even your physical state. So I don't put a lot of weight on dreams that way. However, if something starts coming to pass, then I start paying more attention, right? And it actually did. I realized yesterday the dream was prophetic. So let me just start with, I'll try to start from what I can remember where it started. And one thing about when God does give you a dream, you still remember the details very clearly, where if it's just of your own thinking, you can forget it in 3 days and you won't even remember the details. But the dream started off is that I was looking for the bathroom of this mobile home. Now, I knew we were moving. And I was in and the reason it was a mobile home is that my very first home that I ever owned on my own was a mobile home. So the mobile home itself to me represented the place like Earth, like the place we consider home. And so I'm in this, and it was really long, which I think the reason it was so, had just all these different rooms in it, it kind of represents the Earth, you know? And I'm looking for the bathroom, and the reason why is because I was packing up, and it's the last place you pack out, right? Your toothbrush, toothpaste, and all that is in the bathroom, any shampoos, soaps that you would be having to clean up, because, you know, usually you've either sold the property or you're going to sell the property, and so you have to clean as you go, right? That's the way I do it anyways. So what happened in the dream was I was looking for the bathroom, and then a daughter came up. It wasn't a daughter I have in real life. She looked to be about 7 or 8 years old, and she came up to me and she asked me if I'd seen her bracelets. And immediately in my mind, I saw where the bracelets were, and I saw what they were. They were like these little ones kids make with the beads, you know, and tie them off. You know, you just a string of single beads. And I knew, which is a very strange place to put a bracelet, they were hooked up on, you know, like your curtain rod, and the rods that stick out, they were on the ends. And one was, I told her, one was in the living room, and one was in a bedroom that was near me. And she says, okay, and she goes off to get them. And I think what that represents is, and I'm not 100% sure on this, but, you know, those were precious to her. Gathering together that which is precious to us in our hearts and in our lives, kind of preparing, it kind of like how we prepare, we think about that which is precious to us when you think about going in the rapture, right? You think about getting everything. Like I go around and get the house already in case somebody's going to need it, that's going to be left behind. And you know what I'm saying? It's these last minute details. So anyways, what happened next, I'm trying to think if that was next. Oh yeah, I looked up and I could see through the wall all of a sudden, and way out to my right was a distinguished older gentleman, and I knew that my other daughter was with her father. Now, I've only... this was no one I knew in real life, and I've only ever been married once. So, and I only have kids by one guy. So, I think what that represents is a heavenly Father and those who have died and passed on. Like this was a loved one that was way, way far away, and I knew she was safe and fine, and she was with her father. And I think that represents in our, you know, all the loved ones that have passed on. And then I'm in a room right beside that bathroom. I was standing in the hall, kind of in a hall. The bathroom was like here, and then there was like a bedroom. And I see this, and I can see through the wall. I see this guy driving along right beside the mobile, and I'm very mad because he's leaving ruts like this deep. I was very upset because, you know, you're going to try to sell your property after you leave, and he's just ruining it, right? So I go... And he goes up to the window, and this is a part I left out of the dream because I didn't think anybody would believe me. But you can go, to see that I didn't add this later on, you can go to the comment section of the video, and somebody asked me what that guy looked like, and I said he looked like Tim Conway, and he did. When I was young, if you don't know who Tim Conway is, just type it in, but he's a comedian. And I used to like watching him because he made me laugh. He was so silly. He would always, when I was younger, he always made me laugh. So... anyways, this vehicle pulled up closer than you could pull a vehicle up. Literally, it was like almost touching the mobile, right? And he's looking in the window like this at me, and he makes it, you know, Tim Conway makes that kind of face, you know, and he does that, and I'm like, who is this clown driving through my yard? I was not happy, right? Well, I go to the back door of the mobile, and by then he'd pulled on, and I go to see what he wanted. I open the back door. There's no steps or anything at my back door. And by this time, he had pulled up a little bit on a hill, so we're almost eye to eye now. And I go to see what he wants. But instead of like asking him what he wanted or anything like that, I just tell him the rapture is going to be on the, and on September on the 27th and the 28th. And I look at him, and he's driving a baby blue flatbed truck, okay? Now, what that represents to me is I'm a farm girl. I felt like this was somebody I can now trust, like it was a farmer. But he was quite distinguished looking now. He didn't look like Tim Conway anymore. And the baby blue, I was thinking about, it represents like he's from above. It was like the sky, like he's from the heavens. So I'm looking at him, and it's like the camera zoomed in on his face. And there's like a little twinkle, a little twitch of his eye, a little wink. And he goes, no, it's on the 23rd. But there was that little wink. And remember, before he was Tim Conway. Well, what he was telling me before it ever happened was that there was something funny about the date. There was something funny about the date. And I do want to say that this whole dream originated. I had heard the only thing I had watched about September was the lady with the autistic boy. That's the only thing I had watched. I had not seen a date. I had not heard a date. And I went to take a nap because I was going to make a video for my channel, and I was tired. So I was like, I'm going to take a nap first and then I'll make a video. And I just said, God, if you have anything to say, I was thinking like Revelation or something like that. I wasn't even thinking Rapture. But if you have anything to tell me, whatever you give me, when I take a nap here, which is unlike me to even say that because I've never asked God that before I made a video about to give me a dream. And I said, if you have anything you want me to share, just let me know. And I meant give me a dream. And I went to sleep. That's the dream I got, you guys. So I literally got up from my nap and went in and told the dream. I didn't think about it because I'm like, well, I said, if you give it to me, I'd tell. I didn't think about it. I didn't even pray over it. I just went in there. But what I did wrong was leave out the parts that didn't make any sense to me. The parts I didn't feel like I thought, well, if I say Tim Conway, nobody's going to take me serious. They'll think, oh, that wasn't from God. And, so I should have told the whole dream exactly as it was. But you can go back in the comment section and see where somebody asked me what the guy looked like. And I said Tim Conway. So I'm telling the truth here. And anyways, I was thinking just more about the dream. Just thinking of the pictures were just coming back to me, the images that I had seen. And after he says that to me, and he does that little wink thing, and so I immediately felt like I knew this person, but I couldn't place them. You know how you feel like you know somebody, so they probably visited me before in dreams. So anyways, all of a sudden I look back at the mobile, and even though I'm in the doorway, and the dream gives me the perspective of me standing in the doorway all of a sudden. And I see that behind the mobile, would have been a small stream, but the water was rising, and it was rising so high. That's why he'd pulled his truck up on that little knoll. It was rising so high, it was about this far from coming in the door. And I believe the flood was coming. And I believe, a flood was sent out after the woman, right? A flood, I believe, means war. The war is that close. And we're getting ready to leave in the rapture. So when I go, oh my gosh, I got to make sure everybody's ready. I shut the door. And I quickly go in there to make sure, to make sure my family's ready. And when I get there to where my family is, we're ready to go, he's now my ex-husband, but there's my husband there with our kids. None of our kids are the same ones we have now. So I'm thinking that is the family of God. Okay, everybody that's waiting for the rapture. It's family. God's telling you this is your family, family of God. Okay, the little girl has managed to get her bracelets, but I noticed that we're packed and ready to go, but we only have carry-on luggage. After the whole house being packed out, we only have carry-on luggage. And originally in the dream, I said it looked like a shopping mall. Well, I was thinking about it last night, laying there thinking about it. It wasn't a shopping mall, you guys. It was an airport. It had a wide hallway. And then all these chairs over here. For some reason, I was thinking food court. Maybe I was hungry, but it had It had the counter at the back with, the flight, your screens that tell the flights and stuff. I guess in my mind, when I saw it, I was thinking it was like food court, it was shopping mall or something. It was all very, your airports are very clean and, very white, very pristine looking airport. And there was a little kid of mine, a little tiny boy, off to the left-hand side who would not get ready with us. He was not packed. He was not ready to go. He was in the airport, but he wasn't ready to go. And he was just playing around, and he wouldn't listen to a thing I had to say. And I knew he wasn't ready to go. And I was so mad at him that he wouldn't listen to me, he wouldn't do anything I told him to do. And I think that represents the Christians who are immature. They're baby Christians. Most of them are babies because they refuse to grow up in Christ Jesus. They refuse to stop sinning or getting close to God or whatever. They could go, but they won't get ready. I remember I was so mad at him. He reminded me of one brother I had when I was immediately thought of that brother, my youngest brother, who just would never mind. He'd never do what you told him. He was extremely stubborn. Immediately in the dream, I thought of him as I looked at this child. And I think what God was telling me, this is the nature of those who refuse to get ready. I thought my cat was at the window. So anyways, guys, I want to share that more in more detail because God gave me a lot more information about it last night as I was thinking about it. I was just laying there and thinking about the images that I saw and the meanings behind everything in the dream. And what really struck me was that the first part came to pass, that there was something funny about the date. Now, that's before anything happened, of course. That's before, I believe, I didn't look at the date, but that was early. I don't remember the date I had it, but I don't remember if it even was September yet, but anyways, guys, I wanted to share that with you. And then so that means the rest of it, with departure at hand and us getting ready to go, we're ready. The flood is coming and we're ready to go. That means the rest of it is coming to pass as well. And I just, that's one reason I when I say Joshua is still right, because I can say it with strength because God told me and showed me in a dream that the date, he didn't say the date was wrong. He just let me know because I named a wrong date, a different date. And he names that date and he lets me know that there's going to be something funny about the date, but the date is still correct. And that's why after a lot of prayer, what I believe God meant was it's the 9th month and the 23rd and 24th on the real Enoch calendar, because Halingue said God uses the Enoch calendar. So if you go to the book of Enoch and make that calendar, then it comes out for this year, it's on the 12th and the 13th. All right, so the other things I want to say is 3i Atlas is doing some really weird stuff. Some people think it may have exploded. Other people say, no, we still see it. There's this huge amount of, I don't know if it's plasma, gas, I don't know what, nobody really knows. And there's some very strange pictures coming in, so who knows? And I was talking to my son about it, and we were hypothesizing about the war in heaven. And I was thinking when the Bible said there would be fearful sights and signs in the heaven, do we actually witness some of this war? Is it not just a physical war like between China and, and Russia and the nukes and all this? Is there also this whole spiritual war that we're witnessing as well in the heavens above us, up in the galactic skies and all that? Is that also going on? Does America pull out, or the deep state pull out secret, all these secret programs and things we don't know about and technologies? And, are all the nations, now that it's World War III, are they pulling out all their secret tech on top of the angels cast? How long does it take for, Revelations 12 to happen where the red dragon tries, to swallow up the rapture, tries to destroy the rapture, and there was war in heaven, and the angels fought. How long is that war? We don't know. I was thinking of, when I know situations have changed after Jesus died and then certain angels were locked up and things, but think about how long it took to get a message to Daniel, 3 weeks fighting this one angel. There was no one to help him. How long is this war before Satan is cast down? The red dragon is cast down into the earth and his demons are cast down with him. How long is that war? Like, we don't even know. Will the rapture happen and then there be weeks? Days? Like, we don't know. It doesn't really say. It just says this event and this event. And there was war in heaven. So that's something else to think about. We don't have the exact timeline. Is it hours, days, minutes? How long that war is? So I don't know. And I believe that the rapture, when the rapture itself happens, that male child that the Bible talks about being born, and later on it says that in other places in the Bible who that male child is, being 12,000 from each tribe. There's a lot of people that think that, that's just from Israel. Well, Israel isn't. It says from Babylon has Zion been called. Okay, God goes and gets Zion, the 144,000 from Babylon, not from Israel. Not from Israel. There might be some in Israel that get collected in that. But genetically right now, with the way the 12 tribes spread all over the earth, almost everybody has some genetics in them of these 12 tribes. So I don't think it necessarily is a DNA or a genetic thing. And 144,000 could literally, because it's a cubed number, it could just be a perfect amount. It could be a way of saying that. I don't know yet. And a lot of these things God will show us, God will, right now, the Bible says we see dimly as through a glass. Some things, I don't move on. Jesus died for my sins, right? We don't move on some things that we read in the Bible. But there are other things that are not made specifically clear. Like we're told, the red dragon, for instance, its heads and crowns and everything. It isn't clearly spelled out. You can hypothesize, you can write books, you can say this is what I think. But some things are not clearly spelled out a lot of things are not clearly spelled out in the Bible. And just like the bowls. Or is it the bowls or the thunder? Where God says, shut it up and don't write it. Well, you could hypothesize all day long about what that could mean, but yeah, it's the bowls. So you could hypothesize, but it doesn't say. And I knew somebody that actually wrote a book saying what they were. Well, if it's shut up and God says don't release it, I don't think I doubt you know. Okay. I'm not going to put a lot of money on what you think it is. If it's sealed and no one's supposed to know. No, the same person, though, thinks 144,000 are going to be 144,000 one-year-old little children, all going to fight as Zion. So I'm not going to put a lot of weight on that either. Oh my gosh. Guys, in the end, we will know in part and we see in part. But the important thing is that we try to be kind. It's very hard for me sometimes to, when somebody says something just really nasty or really stupid on my channel, it's hard for me just to, and it is a shortcoming of my own, I'm sure, but I just can't let it sit there. I usually just take it away. I'm like, because I'm not going to argue. We're so close to the rapture. I'm not going to get caught up in that. And I feel like, if your opinion is so strong, go put it on your channel. You go start a channel and you say your theory over there, So a lot of times when people come on and they don't say it like what I think is going to happen. They just say, this is the way it is. Right after, and it could be like exactly opposite of what you just said. And like, that takes a lot of, that's so disrespectful. That is so disrespectful. Already right there, I don't like you, okay? I just want you to know that. You come on there with that kind of attitude. Yesterday was hilarious. I had one person say, I'm going to try to be as nice as I can be. I don't know who they think they're fooling. Well, thank you so much for being as nice as you can be. Delete. guys, we are a mess. Are we not as Christians? Just a mess. Thank goodness that Jesus is going to set it all straight. We're all going to see the parts where we're wrong. Those of us that make it. There's a lot of people who are just religious and arrogant and all this stuff. And they're not even going to be there. They'll be in the tribulation. If they make it, it's because they had to give their head and all this. There's a lot of there's a lot of people watching for the rapture that won't go in the rapture, you guys. And there are people who aren't watching for it who will go. So interesting. But God knows our hearts, and He knows our hearts. He's not fooled. Jesus isn't fooled by your fake niceness, okay? He sees you exactly as you are. And same for me. I'm putting myself right in there. And He sees all of our shortcomings. I think about how patient God was with Jonah. You know, how patient He was. Doest thou well, Jonah? I think about that often as I lose my little temper at some point. And I was like, okay, that's it. Off with his head. It's very hard to have a channel in these days. These are the most contentious, wicked time in history. And we're getting ready to run into the final 7 years of wickedness. And people are just about as wicked as especially before the rapture, as wicked as it's going to get. And they aren't afraid. There's no fear of God in their eyes. They don't care what they say. They think it doesn't matter. I think deep inside them, they feel like God doesn't care. God doesn't care, like God is dead. And they are using the word of God to make themselves feel powerful. You know, the God of the universe said that I could do this, this, and this. And it'll be all wicked, you know. And, but it won't go very far. Thank goodness for blocking features is all I gotta say. And that I can pause comments. So I can treat it like a job. When I'm done working, I close my comments and I can rest. I hope if you have a channel, you take advantage of these gifts, because they are gifts, that you can just pause your comments. It doesn't delete them. And on a video, you make a video. And when all the nasty, hateful people come, you know, you don't have to put up with it like 24/7 and have, because a lot of these are bots, I think. A lot of the stuff is bots. And to provoke, and Satan, that's all he wants. He wants to cause contention and all that. So I feel like I don't want to argue with them. I don't agree with, because what happens when you leave the comments is people come to defend and they get in fights, and it just makes a mess. So anyways, let's just talk about world news. We'll see what today brings. But today is the 11th. It is the 11th and the 11th. Will we see World War III today? Will we see the rapture tomorrow? And tomorrow is the 23rd, the 9th month and the 23rd. And it should be in between the 23rd and the 24th. Nobody should be in the 22nd, and nobody should be in the 25th. However, I will say this, that I'm going to watch extended on either side, because Enoch's calendar works different than our calendar. It's from sunset back to sunset, I believe, if my understanding is correct. So midnight or mid of night might not be at our midnight. So when Helingwe said she would be raptured at midnight, that could be mid of night, being the mid portion between, let's say it got dark at 6. See what I'm saying? 6 to 6, it would be halfway through there or something. I don't know. Or the middle of the night hours. Let's say it was 8 hours of darkness, it would be 4 hours into the darkness. 10 hours of darkness, it'd be 5 hours into the darkness. It'd be when it gets dark, when it gets daylight, and half mark. That's what it would be, halfway. That would be mid of night. So that's something else to consider. So we can't really go off like time zones. You can't go off really off time zones and all that. We'll have to go look in your area. If you look in her area at mid of night, see where that would set. If you want to know close to the exact hour, if God told Helingwe the exact time. And I say if, and I want to tell you why I say if. Because, she just recently had a dream where she heard over and over God say 3 days, 3 days, 3 days. And that was a while back. And so she was kind of hinting and putting out there that God said the rapture would be in 3 days. But it didn't happen. And that's why I don't really trust dreams. Unless some part of the dream has come to pass. The dream, as far as I'm concerned, stays as a dream till it proves itself. You can say, okay, could be. That's how I do with dreams. Could be. But until the dream proves itself, it stays as a could be. And the Philip Barnett, and I believe that was a dream, the first part came to pass. So I'm definitely taking the rest of that dream quite serious. And I had a dream. I'll share this here as well. I had a dream years and years ago that the first part came to pass, but the last part still has not. And what I saw was, in the dream, I saw some debris coming through the sky, like on fire coming through the sky. And then the next scene, I see this big jet, and a missile hits it right in the middle, and I see it fire these anti-flares or whatever they're, missile flares or whatever. I see it fire that, and the dream is over. Well, I think it was 3 days later, and then I believe this was in the 80s when the one spacecraft broke up on coming back, and it broke up on entry. It was the exact scene I had seen, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that was a prophetic dream. And then so I'm like, okay, some airplane is going to get hit right in the middle. Well, it wasn't until years later I found out, because I'm like, what airliner has I didn't understand that was Air Force One. Air Force One has those, at least I think it has to be Air Force One, but it looked like Air Force One, and it had those, and I didn't know, but it actually does have those flares, those whatever the heat seeker things or whatever they are. They shoot off so the missiles will go to them. I saw it fire them, and I didn't know that Air Force One had those. So then I found out years later. So I'm thinking it did shot to the middle. It's right where the president sits. So I'm thinking Russia must down Trump while he's in the air on his Air Force One. I bet that's what happens during World War III. So that last part, we may actually now know how Trump bites the dust. I'll give you guys that one. I can't really think of anything else on world news. I am going to get off here because this is getting fairly long, but it's exciting. Will World War III start today, or do we have a whole nother year? I don't want to wait another year. But if more people are saved, it's the right thing to do. But I don't want to sit and wait for a whole another year. Oh, well, we're so close. We're so close. But how long is a year to God? Like, it's just a minute probably or something. 10 minutes? No, it wouldn't even be 10 minutes to him. But I'm telling you that all those who've been waiting and died waiting through the years, it's been 2,000 years, over 2,000 years since, no, if you count since the resurrection, because we're in 2025. So, all those people still waiting, their graves are waiting, and they've been waiting and waiting and waiting. How exciting that even if we have to wait a year, like that's nothing compared to the amount of waiting that they've gone through. Oh, so I didn't hear anything today. I think it's 3 days. They have 3 days they have to come back and vote on that bill. So hopefully everybody, at least if things continue, hopefully everybody gets their help back, and that Trump stays true to his word he said he would give households $2,000. I don't know in what form that's going to show up. He should just give it to them in cash. He should, but the numbers don't add up. He says that he's been caught in so many lies, you guys. I just don't believe anything he says anymore. And he's lying to world leaders too, like in the middle of a peace agreement or with Iran and all that, and then just drop bombs on them. And he just, it's a shame. I thought about, which guy was it who said on camera that he joined, his name escapes him, but he says, we lie, we cheat, we steal. I thought about him. But he joined the government thinking that, it's like Steve is doing a good thing. He goes, all we do is we lie, we cheat, and we steal. The thing with Venezuela is about to go down. The aircraft carrier, I believe, is almost there. I think they're trying to trick people that they're not coming. That is what is being summarized by most of the people that watch the news, is that they've turned transponders off and they want to show up there but unannounced. And but yeah, I'm not sure. I don't have a lot else. If something big does go down and I'm able to, I will make a video later on today. Otherwise, we just wait. We just wait for the nukes to go off, and that should be the start of World War III, I would think. And the U.S. is the one to do it. So as far as everything else goes, guys, I hope you have a great day. I hope you enjoyed this video, learned something from it. I hope it encourages you that Joshua's date is real, because the first part of my dream already came to pass. It already came to pass. That there was something funny about the date, and that we are almost ready to board the flight, to board it. We're almost ready. And how exciting is that? That's so exciting. We know if it's not September's the 9th month, and the little autistic boy was told the 9th month. So if it's not this 9th month, it'll be next year 9th month. But we know it's the 9th month. I'm so glad. And I believe the reason God came and told us is because the other events, World War III, okay, there are signs given. But the rapture, I believe, happens. If you go read Isaiah 52, you'll see that the rapture happens without warning. And God wanted us to be ready. So he told us the date. And I like that he did the way he did it, because it's sorting out all the ones who aren't ready to be in a rapture. They really aren't committed to God. They're like, they don't have a strong walk with God, and they would not be able to partake. Okay? They would not be able to partake. So God did it in a way where he's making a list. This one goes here. This one goes there. You know, and he's putting everybody where they need to be. He's sorting his, the Bible says he sorts his cattle, not sheep. I thought that was interesting, but he sorts his cattle, and he's sorting us into the pens that into the areas that we need to be in. And he is getting ready, because he's getting ready to come get his beloved. And, he wants his beloved to be in love with him, not in love with themselves, not in love with the world, not cheaters or idolaters. He wants only the ones that are in love with him. That's the only ones he wants to marry, you guys. And how about you? Do you want to marry somebody that's in love with somebody else, but they're marrying you because it's the way out of their country? I mean, just think about it. Is that the kind of person that you would want to marry? Oh, I love this other man over here, but he doesn't have any money, and look at the situation I am in. I'm going to have to marry that guy. Maybe I can keep in contact with him. God doesn't want that kind of a bride. He wants those that love him with all their heart, their soul, and all their might. And then he's going to rejoice over us with singing and be so happy to be with us, and we're going to be so happy to be with him. We love him. We're not looking down going, oh, I miss the world, and pining away. He doesn't want that. He doesn't want that kind of bride. So that's why he's sorting right now. He's putting the ones that are in love with themselves and the world and their ego and all this. He's setting them aside because he's not going to marry that person. So, okay, guys, I'm going to leave you with that thought. I love you all very much. I hope you have a great day, and I hope that tomorrow's the rapture, and I see you all in the clouds. I will make a video tomorrow if I'm not gone, and we still have electricity. I'll see you then, guys. Bye for now.